Laila Yaghi, and I just came. We drove from North Carolina. That was a 12-hour drive to see my son. And sometimes I come and I drive to see him, and they tell me the whole day is on lockdown, so I can't see him. So I go back to North Carolina without seeing him. This time is better. You know, I got to see him yesterday for about 2 hours or more, and then today I got to see him for an hour. But I just noticed the difference, and Mel knows I don't wear the hijab scarf thing. And my son likes me to wear it because he said that the men over there, because they haven't seen a woman for a long time, he wants me to dress more modest. So I put it on and I noticed the big difference between how I'm just an average American when I don't wear it and I blend in normally versus when I wear it and how everybody stares at me like I'm a criminal. And I'm thinking, wow, what a big difference. And then, you know, I have to give a smile and put more effort when I'm wearing that to show people that I'm a normal human being so I can be respected and treated normal versus when I'm not wearing it. And I just keep on thinking, I'm a thinker, and I keep thinking about things and how things are unfolding in my life. I got married at a very, very young age. I was 18. And my first husband was very controlling. He didn't let me out. So I was basically naive. All my life I was naive. And we never talked about politics. We never talked about religion. You know, we were just an average family, not even a religious family. We could even call ourselves Muslims because we weren't following the Islamic, you know, religion. But then, you know, when my son got older, my older son, who was like 100% American, drifted on drugs. So I said, I'm going to have my younger son, you know, raised differently. And I want to see if I let him go to the mosque, what's going to happen. So he went to the mosque, and he was a very good child, very calm, very good in everything. He didn't, you know, bother me in anything, well disciplined. He would listen to me all the time. You know, if I tell him not to do something, he would say okay, and he would do it. He wouldn't do it. And so what happens is that the feds, or you know, whatever, it raises red flags if you go to the mosque and you pray a lot. So he would go to the mosque and pray a lot. But that was just like a year or even less than a year when he switched and started going to the mosque, and I encourage him to go out and be with people like you know, calm people who don't do anything, very high moral standards. They'll go and play basketball and stuff like that. And then, you know, he would go to these lectures where they tell them that they're not supposed to commit adultery and whatever, they should be married. So he wanted to also get married at a young age, like me at 18, and have his own family. And he wanted to also learn Arabic because I did not teach him Arabic. So he went overseas the first time he was 18, and we have a home over there, you know. Both my father and his father's side both have homes, and so often, you know, my family members would go and stay there throughout the summer, but I wouldn't go because it's really expensive and it takes a lot of effort and whatsoever. So my son decided he wanted to go. He went there the first time to learn Arabic and to get married. It didn't work out with him, and he came back, and he had a two-way ticket. The next year, he went with his friend Omar, who was also now incarcerated, and he stayed probably a month. He went to Palestine, he was denied entry, then he went to Jordan, and then he went on to Egypt, which is where Omar is from. And nothing, you know, everything normal happened. There were kids playing, basically, very young, immature men playing and just fooling around and, you know, going after women and just having fun, going to the beach and whatsoever. And when he came back, before he went, I was questioned, why is my son going overseas? And I called my son, I told him that the FBI is looking for him, and he's like, why would they be looking for me? That's strange. Just don't talk to them. This is weird. And he didn't think much of it. He didn't even know why. And then when he came back, the FBI kept after him and his friend. And later on, after, you know, they went to trial, I found out that they wanted his friend to be an informant, you know, that you go in and you snitch on people, and you actually have to lie, because not just you're an informant, you have to be very deceptive and trick the person into saying something about the word that they're looking for, which is called jihad, which is, when we look at it, it's called struggle. So basically today when I was wearing the hijab, it's called jihad, because I'm actually struggling with how people are staring at me and how they view me as a terrorist. So we use that word a lot in our life. When I drove the 12 hours, drive with a young kid who nagged me most of the time in the back seat, that's called also jihad, because I'm struggling, to stay driving the 12 hours and calming him down at the same time. So that's the word that we use, but they want to hear it in a different way. They want to actually hear the word that they're looking for, jihad, which means violent jihad, when you go overseas and you kill or you try to kill Americans for some reason. But we're Americans, so I don't see how that fits, Americans killing Americans. But then, because I'm Muslim, they don't portray me as an American. They say, your government, or it's like, what government? But I'm an American, So this government is my government. So it's like, it confuses me. So anyway, they put informants and they let people trick the person into saying something about jihad, and then, they videotape, they record them, and they have wiretaps on them, whatever. Well, my son had none of that, but one of his co-defendants was talking a lot. He's a white American Muslim. He was talking a lot about the wars against Iraq and Afghanistan, and they did not like him because he was very vocal. And they wanted my son or his friend to be informants on that guy, and they refused. So they wanted to actually basically get back at my son and his friend, because they didn't want to be what they wanted him to be. And they kept coming to my apartment and asking me and asking my son the same thing over and over again about this guy. His name is Boyd, to say something about this guy. And we didn't know what they wanted to know about this guy, so we kept saying, we don't know what you want to know. Actually, after they arrested my son, a whole SWAT team, and this is, by the way, just for the show, okay? Because when there's no people, there's no guards even, there's no SWAT teams. But they had a SWAT team, and they made a big, huge show for the media that, and they arrested my son out of the pool. My son had cleaned my apartment, and he was trying to cook for me. I was out running an errand with an older lady. When I came back, she called me and she said that your son was on the news and he's arrested. And I started screaming. I mean, screaming, literally screaming, running upstairs and downstairs, and just basically ripping my clothes apart. I was so upset and sad. And then I really didn't believe her. So she said, if you don't believe me, call his father, call Omar's father, his friend's father. And I called him. He said, yeah, they were arrested. And he was crying also. So then my son calls the next day, and he's like really worried about me. And he's so worried that they're going to arrest me. And I told him, why would they arrest me? I didn't do anything. No, he would call the office lady. He's so worried that the FBI is going to arrest me. And I told him that I didn't do anything. Why would they arrest me? He said, well, I didn't do anything, and they arrested me too. So then the FBI comes to my house to give me my son's belonging, which is his ski and his swimming shorts. And I asked them, why are they doing this to us? And they said that they feel if they pressured my son enough, if they kept him in jail, pressured him enough, they would tell him, my son and his friend, whatever they're looking for against that guy, Boyd. Okay? So then I told the guy, I escorted him out. I told him I wanted him out of my apartment. And I thought, surely my government had made a mistake, and a month or two will pass, and my son is going to be out. Well, a year passed, 2 years passed, 3 years passed, and now almost 4. And my son is still in jail. Pre-trial was mostly my son was in solitary confinement, mistreated. Of course, they want to pressure them so much so they can do some kind of act of violence. So then when they commit that act of violence, they will say, look, well, he is violent. And one of my friends, her son is also in jail, said that they do that to the Muslim people because there's nothing on them. But the only way they can get something on them if they keep pressuring them. And my son called me one time, he told me, I was working, and I had to take his call, and he said, you need to call my lawyer right now because the guards said that they're going to come at night and beat the heck out of me. And that was for nothing. So they were harassing him, and of course we have to hear Osama bin Laden. When I go to visit him, I hear the guards saying Osama bin Laden and stuff like that. They think I don't hear them. I hear them, but I pretend that I don't hear them because, you know, if somebody's ignorant and somebody's going to act like that, I'm not going to stoop down to their level. Let them talk whatever they want to talk. I know, you know, who I am, and I know how I raised my son, and I know that we're very, very good people. And we go out of our way to help people. My son was going out of his way to help people. And he never asked if this is a Muslim or non-Muslim. He was giving the last dollar in his pocket to any homeless guy who asked him for money, any guy on the street who would ask him for money. And he never asked if that guy was Muslim or non-Muslim. He didn't care about his ethnic background, his religious background, his color, nothing. So then, you know, then it was about almost 3 years, 2.5 years pre-trial. They kept pressuring my son. They wanted him to take the plea deal. And now, after this experience, a lot of people in jail are innocent. It's so unfair. You take the plea deal not because you're guilty, okay? When people take the plea deal has nothing to do with guilt. It has to do, you're going either a life sentence, you take this life sentence, or you take the plea deal, that's going to be 10 years. But my son's case was different. He didn't want to take the plea deal, not just because he wasn't guilty, because on top of that, they told him that he wants him to testify against the other people, his co-defendants. And that means he has to lie and tell them basically what they want him to say. It's like a script. So I'm sitting there every day at the trial, and I'm seeing, by the way, they're all corrupt, the judges, the prosecutors, even the lawyers, especially the ones who are appointed by the government. They're all corrupt. The judge is very corrupt, okay? The prosecutors are more corrupt. It's a very, very, very corrupt system to the point that it's scary. And only the people who are on top, the people who have money, they're the ones who are going to get out of it. Okay, not the 1%ers. Okay? Corporations are the ones who rule this country. Not our president, not our government, and not the good people. It's just corporation and it's just money. Okay? So I'm sitting there and people think I'm dumber than I am, but I'm smarter, honestly, than most people are sitting there. Because people are trying to convince me that the judge is good because she smiles. No, you know? The wolf smiles when he tries to eat you, okay? He's going to show you his teeth and it's going to look like a smile, but that's not a real smile. Okay? I'm sitting there and I'm taking everything and I'm reading her facial expressions, her body language, everything. So she's putting up a show, okay? But she's pretending that she's sustaining and objecting and whatever. But she has in mind already. Everything is set already. Everything is preset before the trial. Her mind is made up. What's going to happen? Everything is made up before the trial. So the trial was just a stage. I'm sitting there and she's pretending she's objecting and sustaining and whatever, but at the end, she's listening to the government because they're the ones who hired her and she got the rules from them. Okay? And everything that my son's lawyer would tell her, she would object to that, and she would listen to the government, to the prosecutors. And of course, okay, we lost the trial because, you know, we're terrorists to them, to the people who are in the jury. We're terrorists. We're nothing but terrorists. Because why? The media brainwashes people to let them believe that Muslim people are terrorists. And it's so easy. I just wrote that on my Facebook page, on my status, that I found out that it's so easy to brainwash people about that something is evil versus brainwashing people about something that's good. I could come and tell somebody, oh, this guy is awful and he had done such and such and such and such, that person is going to believe it. Versus me saying that that person is a good guy. Well, I have to experience it to see that. I don't believe that all people are good. So we all know, okay, that evil prevails for some reason. So it was a stage. We lost a trial. okay? There was no evidence against my son whatsoever, no evidence whatsoever, okay? Except they paid people money, tell them to go say that. My son was not on any of the tape recordings, nothing. But they kept putting my son's picture up, brainwashed the jury. They probably even scared the jury backstage, I would tell you, okay? And they'll say, United States versus Yaghi, which is my son's name. And they'll keep on putting his picture over and over and over and over again until people are thinking, okay, you know, who's this Yaghi, okay? They don't look at a young man sitting down there who's about to be, for the rest of his life, in jail. Then when there was no evidence, and the boy took that plea deal because he wanted to save himself and his kids. So he took the plea deal, and part of that plea deal is to come and lie against the other people, the other co-defendants. But for some reason, okay, he said there was no conspiracy going on between him and my son. There was no conspiracy. So that means there's nothing going on between them. So the judge, okay, had to give my son a sentence, okay? She wanted to give him one of the highest sentences, okay? After we lost a trial, I still had hope, okay, maybe the judge has a heart. Maybe she'll give him time served. Maybe 5 years, maybe anything, just let's get out of this, okay? What bothered her the most, okay, is that she wanted my son to almost beg her, okay? But when he stood up high and he said, okay, I didn't do anything wrong, she did not like that. She said he doesn't feel any remorse. Okay, I'm trying to say remorse for what? I mean, for every action, there's a reaction. You go kill somebody, you feel remorse, you get punished. But for somebody who goes and visits his uncle or his grandfather or his rest of his relatives and his country, what is wrong with that? I don't see what's wrong with that. And then she goes that, okay, you know, in other words, since, you know, there's no conspiracy going on, Yaghi was acting as a lone wolf. He went over to Jordan to recruit people. By the way, there's nothing like that in Jordan. There's no terrorists in Jordan. People are very, very, very peaceful. It's a very peaceful country, okay? So she said he's going over there to recruit people, and he's acting like as a lone wolf, and she gave him 31.5 years. And when she gave him that, she looked at my face directly to see my reaction, how it's gonna be. It's evil. She was very evil. The whole thing was evil. So my son got 31.5 years. Okay, I went running outside the court. And my son wrote me a letter. He said, please be strong. I love you. You're the best mother on earth. Okay? And don't look at it as numbers. Okay? Don't look at it like that. And from now on, I don't look at it as 31.5 years. I look at it 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. Because if I do, okay, I'm going to end up looking heavier than this because I was slim, but I get depressed, so I sit a lot and I think, you know, I'm just thinking, why this happened to us out of a lot of people, okay? So when people tell you Muslim people are terrorists, don't believe that. There's a lot of evil going on in this world, and there's a lot of things behind this. There's reasons they're portraying Muslims as evil and as bad, and mostly, I would say it, and I'm not shy to say it, and I'm not scared to say it, is to go steal their resources over there. But over here, what they're trying to do to keep the wars going on over there, okay, they have to say that they're terrorists over here. And look, we caught a terrorist, okay, and use them as scapegoats. And then people believe that, okay, just as, you know, they're going to say there's the swan flu or whatever. There'll be a case in 1,000,000. How much is it going to scare you to go and get the shot flu and go wash your hands every second and be so terrified and have your mind so brainwashed, okay, that that's going to consume you. So they're doing this to you too. And I found out it's so easy to brainwash people. It's so easy. I can't understand why we're easily brainwashed. Even I am brainwashed, okay? But I kind of woke up after this happened. I started researching, I started reading, and I realized that there's a whole different world out there than what we even know. It's evil, honestly. And my son stayed, he's in Coleman, Florida right now. They put him in, and they kept him 6 months there in the chute, solitary confinement. I was so worried that he's going to lose his mind. Okay? Thank God he's a strong man. And when I went to see him yesterday, he told me it could be worse. Now he's out. Okay? But also, he was telling me that his co-defendant who took the plea deal now works for the government, and he's going to be a snitch, and he's going to testify against people that he doesn't even know. Okay? And that's what they asked my son to do too, to go testify against people that he doesn't even know, Because the cases are weak. These are no cases. Okay, when they say they caught a terrorist, that's not a case. The only way they can build up a case is have some witnesses say, yes, this guy did such and such. That's the only way, because there's no physical evidence. Does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry, guys, it took so long, but
Yeah,
I mean...
Is your son out now, you say?
No, he's in the jail, but he's out of the chute, which is solitary confinement.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But we're doing an appeal. He has 31.5 years. The chances for winning an appeal in federal court is 1%. Okay? But we're hanging on to that 1%, and we're hoping that he's going to be out.
You have a good lawyer?
Now we do. First, I had an appointed lawyer, which basically made my son think. Now I reached out to some organizations, one of them is MJI and MLFA, and they're helping me pay for this lawyer because I couldn't do it on my own. And I also did a lot of fundraising. Facebook even sometimes helps, not that much, but some people even send money through Facebook. Yeah, because I have a PayPal account on there. Thank you guys for listening, and please don't judge people until you really, really know them. Thank you.